Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
What's bubbling, magical people? Welcome back to the Witching Hour, where we like to talk about all things witchy and magical. I'm your host, Kimmy, aka Miss Merlin, and we are going to talk about the Aztec, Incan, Mayan creation stories and kind of a little bit about their pantheons today. Just a little bit of that history. All three Mesopotamian civilizations were astronomers, architects, priests, and shamans alike. Mayan, Incan, and Aztec mythology are rich with divine figures, ancestral stories, and divine forces. Natural forces and elements like rain, fire, and fertility, they were not just an abstract concept, but living deities with names, wills, and tempers. Though Mayan myth predates that of the Aztecs, they share many similar themes. And we are going to get into all of that and more. So let us start here with the Mayan. So the Mayan creation story is found in what is called the Popol Vuh, and that actually translates to the Book of Council. This is a sacred text of the Quiche Maya people, and it's very rich and complex. Initially, there was nothing but silent, empty sea and sky, and in the waters resided the creator gods. So first we have Tipeu, the framer. Then we have Kukulkan, the feathered serpent. And then Hurekon, heart of the sky, the god of wine, storm, and fire, and other deities including Shriakok and Shmukane, the divine grandparents, diviners, and matchmakers. These gods conversed and decided to bring forth life and light and fill this void. So much like all other creation stories, right? It starts with a void, chaos in Greek mythology, right? A void in basically everything else, with the creator God bringing forth all of these, what's the word I'm looking for? Seeds, I guess, seeds of life. Through their words and powers, the gods caused the earth to rise from the water, forming mountains, valleys, and rivers. They then created plants and animals. However, they were disappointed because the animals could only squawk, howl, or roar. They couldn't speak, worship, or remember even their creators. So the deities declared that the animals' flesh would be eaten by others, and the deities then desired to bring beings who could truly acknowledge and worship them. Ego much? They made several attempts to create humans. So first there was humans of the mud. So their first attempt was to create humans from mud. These beings were really flimsy. They couldn't move well, and they had no intelligence. They crumbled when they were dry, melted basically when they were wet, and they were very quickly destroyed. So next they turned to making humans from wood. And these beings could not speak or multiply, and they had no hearts, no mind, and no soul. They also lacked the memory of the creators, and they were cruel. The gods destroyed them in a great flood, and it's said that the few who survived became monkeys. So before the successful creation of humans, a significant part of the Popol Vuh recounts an epic saga of the hero twins. So Hunahpu and Sriblanki, their father and uncle, were tricked by the lords of the underworld, the Shipalba, after being invited to play a ball game. So the hero twins, who were miraculously conceived after their father's death, later journeyed to Xibalba to avenge their father and uncle. Through their cunning, bravery, and a series of trials and ball games, kind of like baseball, they outsmarted and defeated the lords of the death. After their triumph, they ascended into the heavens, where they became the sun and the moon. Their actions prepared the way for the emergence of the true human beings and the world as it is now. So with the sun and the moon in the sky, the deities made their final and successful attempt at creating humans. Guided by the divine grandparents, the gods finally created human beings from white and yellow maize, corn. These humans were intelligent, they could speak, they were capable of worship and remembering who their creators were. Initially, the first 4 men had a perfect understanding and could see everything. So these men were Balaam Quincy, Balaam Akabra, Mahukuta, and Ikibalam. However, the gods feared that the humans might become too powerful. So they cast a mist over their eyes, obscuring their perfect vision and limiting their understanding. Finally, they created counterparts for them, and humanity began to multiply, establishing the first lineages of the Quiche people. The Mayan creation story emphasizes the vital role of maize, again, that's corn, and reflecting its fundamental importance to Mayan civilization and their agricultural way of life. It also highlights the cyclical nature of creation and destruction, the importance of balance, and the relationship between humans and the divine. The Mayan pantheon itself is very rich and really complex, with many regional variations with different names for the same deities. However, some of them are consistently prominent and would be recognizable to most people who even have a casual interest in the Mayan mythology. And there are 6 among them that are the most famous and well documented. So we're going to talk about them a little bit. So they play a crucial role in the creation myths, the daily life, and the spiritual journey of the Maya people. So there's Itzamna, who's often considered, like we talked about, as the supreme creator god, the lord of the heavens, day and night, the patron of writing, medicine, knowledge. He's frequently depicted as an old, wise man, sometimes with a bird or reptile aspect. And then we have Kukulkan, who we mentioned above as well, who was the feathered serpent. This deity is also kind of the counterpart to the Aztec deity Quetzalcoatl. We'll get into that. Kukulkan was associated with wind, water, wisdom, and also creation. His iconic imagery of a feathered serpent is instantly recognizable, especially at sites around that region. And then there's Shak, the rain god, absolutely vital for agriculture. In the Mayan civilization, Shak is often depicted with a long, very long, pendulous nose and wielding a lightning axe to bring forth the rain. He was a very important deity for ensuring good harvest. So the lightning, the thunder, the storms, kind of very Thor-like. That's kind of the energy that I get. And then we have Ishel, which is the goddess of the moon, childbirth, fertility, healing, and weaving. She's also often depicted as an aged woman with claws and a serpent head. Or as she's most benevolent to young women, but she's a crucial figure for women and women's health. And then we talked about the hero twins a little bit in the creation story. While they were not single gods, they were 2 brothers who were central figures in the Popol Vuh. Their adventures to the underworld to defeat the lords of death are the cornerstone in the Mayan mythology and are very, very widely known. So that's the story that we just went over. And then we have the Apuch or Kisen, so the death god. While his exact name varies, the Mayan god of death and the underworld, Xibalba, is significant. It's also, he's depicted as a skeletal or decaying figure, sometimes adorned with bells. So now we're going to shift gears a little bit and move to the Incan civilization. So the Incan creation story, much like the Mayan, is rich with divine figures and attempts at creating humanity. The most prominent deity in Incan mythology is Viracocha. He's the creator god as well. Now, I'm trying my very, very best to pronounce these correctly, okay? A lot of these deity names are very difficult. So if I get any of them wrong or the accent is a bit off, please show me a little bit of grace. I promise you I'm trying my hardest. All right. So in the beginning, again, there was only darkness and nothingness. And from the waters of Lake Titicaca, the god Viracocha emerged. He is a great creator, responsible for bringing forth the land, the sky, and everything else in existence. Viracocha first created the race of giants, sometimes described as being made of stone. These beings displeased him greatly, often being depicted as disobedient or very ill-mannered, much like the Jotun in Norse mythology. Just another interesting parallel there. As a result, Viracocha destroyed them with a great flood, turning many of them into stone in the process. After the flood, Viracocha reappeared from the Lake Titicaca and set about creating the sun, the moon, and the stars, bringing light to the world. He then fashioned new humans, often depicted as created from smaller stones or clay. Again, trying the clay, just like the others did the mud. Each representing the various peoples and tribes that would populate the Andean region. He also gave them their languages, customs, and songs. After creating humanity, he traveled across the land, sometimes disguised as an old man. Do we see that? Are we seeing this pattern? Of the main creator god in all these pantheons being depicted as an old, wise, bearded man. To ensure that his creations were thriving and to establish order. He taught people various skills and traditions, and in some accounts, he founded the city of Cusco, which would be the future capital of the Inca Empire. Eventually, he walked across the water and vanished into the Pacific Ocean, promising to return one day. So, this brings us to the origin of the Inca dynasty. While Viracocha created humanity in general, the specific origin of the Inca ruling dynasty has its own kind of separate legends, often intertwined with a broader creation myth. So first we have Mancocapac and Mama Aclo. You may have heard that name before, especially if you're involved in any type of plant medicine or shamanism. So, sent by the sun god, Inti, so that's the sun god here, often depicted as Viracocha's son. So, Mancocapac and Mama Aclo emerged from Lake Titicaca, or a cave, depending on where you look, with a golden staff. Their mission was to find a place where the staff would sink easily into the ground, which would be an indicator that this was fertile land for their future empire. So this place was Cusco. Then we have the next myth of the Ayar brothers, which translates to wild quinoa. So this legend tells of 4 brothers and their wives who emerged from caves near Paquiritambo. Okay, it's a very sacred origin place. Sorry if I said that wrong. Let me try that again. Paquiritambo. There we go. Okay. The Inca pantheon also features several prominent deities that are really widely known. Here are the most famous gods in the Inca mythology. These 4 deities form the core of what most people would recognize when discussing the Inca pantheon. So, Inti, as I mentioned, said to be the son of Viracocha, the sun god, often being the most frequently referenced due to his direct connection to the Inca rulers and their state religion. Inti was arguably the most important and revered god in the Inca Empire. He was the god of the sun and the Inca emperors, who were believed to be his direct descendants. So much like in ancient Egypt, the priestesses and the pharaohs and that were said to be descendants of the Egyptian gods as well. So Inti provided warmth, light, and was crucial for agricultural success. There's also a temple in Cortacancha that is dedicated to him. And there's an annual festival, Rami, I think, festival celebrated in his importance. Again, if I pronounced anything wrong, I apologize. I'm trying my best. A lot of these words are so hard to wrap your tongue around, especially when English is your primary language. I do speak other ones, but yeah. Anyways, okay. And then Viracocha, as we've discussed, the creator god, considered the supreme creator god, responsible for creating the universe, the sun, the moon, the stars, all living things, including humanity. Again, often depicted as an elderly man with long hair and a long beard. While not as widely worshipped as Inti by the common people, he held immense importance as a primordial deity. And then this will also be a name that you're familiar with if you are in shamanic circles. So Pachamama, Earth Mother, is the beloved goddess of the earth, fertility, and agriculture. She provides sustenance and life, is widely revered in the Andes today even. Offerings are traditionally made to her to ensure good harvest and to protect the land. And then we have Mama Kila, who is also someone you'd be familiar with if you're in shamanic circles. Mother Moon, the goddess of the moon, the wife and the sister of Inti. So remember, when I say sister of, when we're talking about primordial deities, we're not supposed to see it as a brother-sister thing, okay? It's created as, right? Just created as, this is created as a female, this is created as a male, so they can work together to procreate, okay? I know, it creeps me out still too. So she's very important for marking time, regulating women's menstrual cycles, and was associated with femininity and marriage. Silver was considered to be her tears, and very, very, very coveted and valuable as well. So now we're just going to shift a little bit again, and we're going to go over to the Aztec. So the Aztec creation story is perhaps best known for its concept of the 5 suns. So when I say the suns, that's like a cosmic age, okay? So each ending in destruction, leading up to the current world. So this cyclical view of creation and destruction is a very, very central theme in Aztec mythology. So the Aztecs believed that the world, including humanity, had been created and destroyed 4 times before the current era, which is the 5th sun. So each sun or era is associated with a specific deity and ended with a cataclysmic event. The first sun, the Nawiose Lotol, the 4 jaguar. The god that was kind of in charge of this event was Tezcatlipoca, the lord of the smoking mirror, god of the night, sky, fate, and sorcery. So humans at that time were the giants who only ate acorns. The end of this particular era was when Tezcatlipoca angered by the state of things, sent jaguars to devour the giants, plunging the world into eternal darkness. Okay? Then we have the second sun, the Nahuiehacatl, 4 winds. God in charge of this, Quetzalcoatl. We know him, the feathered serpent, god of wind, air, wisdom, and life. He became the sun. Humans, regular size people who ate only pine nuts. And then again, we have Tezcatlipoca coming in here in a rivalry with Quetzalcoatl, caused great winds and hurricanes that swept away the people, transforming many of them into monkeys. Then we have the third sun, or third era, Nahuichiahuitl, the 4 rain. God in charge of this was Taoloc, the rain god, fertility, water. This god was also the sun during this era. Okay, so humans, people who ate maize, corn. The ending, Quetzalcoatl, in a fit of jealousy or anger, or sometimes the other brother, Tezcatlipoca, caused a great rain or fire or volcanic eruption that buried the world, and the survivors turned into turkeys or birds. Then we have the fourth sun, Nahuiatl, for water. The god or the sun at that time was Chai-Chi-Otlique. Yeah, Chai-Chi-Otlique, the goddess of the water. Tueloc's sister or wife, again. Remember, he was the son. Humans, people who ate seed called water maize. So how this era ended, a massive flood lasting 52 years. It engulfed the whole world and the survivors were turned into fish. Okay. So that brings us to the fifth sun, which is, where we are now, the current era. Nahuiolin, 4th movement. After the destruction of the 4th sun, the gods gathered in Teotihuacan, or sometimes called Tula, and decide how to create a new sun and moon. 2 gods volunteered to sacrifice themselves. Tecocestecatl, a very proud, rich god, and Nanahuatzin, a humble, sickly god. A great fire was lit. Tecocestecatl hesitated. He was afraid of the flames. But Nanahuatzin, despite his sickliness, he bravely leapt into the fire and was transformed instantly into the sun. Ashamed, Tezcatlipoca followed, then becoming the moon. So this newly created sun and moon were still. So to set them in motion, the other gods realized that they too must sacrifice themselves, offering their blood and their hearts. This act of divine sacrifice is very central to Aztec understanding of human sacrifice. They did that a lot. Blood sacrifice was a part of a lot of what they did. It was seen as a reciprocal offering to sustain the universe, just as the gods had sacrificed themselves to create it. With the sun and the moon in motion, the earth was still empty now. So Quetzalcoatl, again the feathered serpent, descended to Mitalcan, their underworld, to retrieve the bones of previous human generations, all the ones that had been killed off in previous suns. And he faced many challenges from Mitalticutli, the lord of the underworld, and after obtaining the bones, he famously dropped them and broke some of them, which is how they explain why some humans are different sizes. Quetzalcoatl returned to the surface, and the gods ground the bones and sprinkled their blood over them, giving life to new humanity in the fifth sun. So this act of self-sacrifice and bloodletting is crucial. When it comes to the Aztec pantheon, a few gods stand out as being particularly famous and widely recognized. many of whom we have already discussed. Even outside Mesoamerican studies, these are the ones that most people would have maybe heard of. So these four are considered the most prominent and frequently mentioned. So we have, of course, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. And I actually posted a card from my upcoming Oracle deck, Whispers from the Deities, the card for Quetzalcoatl, just the other day, if you want to have a look at that. Again, at @the_Miss Merlin on all platforms. So he was arguably the most famous Aztec deity, the god of wind, air, wisdom, learning, life, and also known as the morning star. He's often associated with creation and is widely recognizable as a symbol of Mesoamerican culture. And then we have Huitzilopochtli, the hummingbird of the south, the patron god of Mexica, the Aztec people. He was incredibly important. He was the god of war, the sun, and human sacrifice. His shrine sat atop the Templo Mayor, and it's the most significant temple in the Aztec capital. He guided the Aztecs on their migration and was central to their identity and their military campaigns as well. And then we have Tecusistecatl, the smoking mirror. We've discussed him as well. Often seen as a rival to Quetzalcoatl, Tecusistecatl was a powerful and omnipresent god associated with the night sky, ancestral memory, time, destiny, sorcery, and the north. He was both a creator and a destroyer, embodying the duality of order and chaos. And then we have Tualak, who we also discussed earlier. He who makes things sprout. That's what it translates to. The god of the rain, lightning, and agriculture. This is the deity that I said was kind of like Thor energy. So Tualak was crucial for the Aztecs' agricultural success. His importance is evident in his shrine also being on top of the Templo Mayor, alongside the one we just discussed a minute ago. He was the ancient deity with roots much earlier in Mesoamerican civilization. And I think it's super fascinating how different the Mesoamerican and Andean cultures are, but they developed parallel concepts for their deities, often reflecting shared agricultural needs and cosmological understandings. While not exact one-to-one matches, there are very clear patterns, functional and symbolic overlaps between many of the prominent gods. Just like I've discussed with other pantheons. Like, are we seeing patterns? So the feathered serpent, wisdom, creation, and wind. We have Quetzalcoatl, Aztec, and Kukulkan from the Mayan. These are essentially the same deity. The feathered serpent motive is ancient in Mesoamerica, appearing in earlier cultures like the Olmec and the Teotihuacan, both associated with creation, wind, and knowledge, and the morning star, Venus. The rain gods, agriculture, fertility, Tualak, Aztec, and Shak, Maya. These are two different deities, but both kind of the same and vital rain deities, often depicted with distinctive facial features and associated with storms, lightning, and providing water for crops. Their importance was paramount. Then we have the Earth Mother, Earth Goddess, fertility, sustenance. So in Inca, Pachamama. While there isn't a single direct Pachamama equivalent in Aztec or Maya pantheon with the exact same level of all-encompassing Earth Mother reverence, there are really similar concepts too. There's Talticotli, this is Aztec, the Earth Mother, Earth Monster deity. This was kind of a frightening deity whose body formed the world. While not a benevolent mother in the same way that Pachamama is, she represents the earth as a source of life and death. Then we have Cihuacoatl, Also Aztec, a fertility goddess associated with childbirth, earth, and war. Coatliquet, Aztec Earth Mother Goddess. Then we have like in the Maya, there's numerous goddesses associated with maize, corn, fertility, and the earth. No single figure really encompasses it like Pachamama does, but I mean, it's all there. Then we have the sun gods, right? Inti. And then for Aztec counterpart, Huitzilopochtli, both very powerful sun gods, paramount deities. Yeah, there's so many comparisons if you go back and forth, right? Then we have the creator gods, right? Viracocha and Itzemne. So Viracocha Inca, Itzemne Maya, both considered supreme creator gods responsible for bringing forth the universe. The same energy and almost described as depicted exactly the same way. So these are three very ancient civilizations, but why am I doing them together? Because they're very much the same. Just like all the other stuff that we've been covering. All these places from all these different regions around the world, way before travel was even a thing. So how do we have such similar stories everywhere? It makes you think, doesn't it? I just think it's super, super, super interesting. I'm loving seeing the patterns in all of these. So the timelines, kind of, the Mayan civilization has the longest continuous history, with its roots stretching back millennia before the rise of either the Aztec or the Inca empires. The Aztec and Inca empires were relatively new powers that kind of rose to prominence in the later centuries before the European arrival and the takeover of organized religion as we know it now. So those three particular pantheons do have a lot of resonance with, like I said, the shamanic community. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the energies and stuff that I resonate with, and that maybe if that's something that you're interested in, herbal medicine, plant medicine, very earthy shamanic things, and these are some deities that you might want to get to know. Okay, so first we have for Aztec, Paticatl. And Paticatl is one that I work with a lot. He's a very significant deity in Aztec mythology. He's primarily known as the god of healing and fertility. More specifically, Paticatl is often associated with medicine and medicinal herbs, and is credited to the discovery of peyote and other hallucinogenic things that have spiritual functions and healing functions. He governs over healing, roots, and medicinal herbs. Paticatl is also the pulque god. Pulque is an ancient alcoholic beverage made from the fermented sap of the maguey plant, which is also agave, okay, but it's not tequila. It's made in a different way. It's made from like the milky sap, okay, in a fermented way, more like wine. So I really feel like Paticatl has a lot of resonant energy with Dionysus, I feel. Anyways, in Aztec culture, drinking pulque was a very sacred activity, and it was often associated with religious ceremonies or shamanic ceremonies, and it was believed to provide a connection to the divine. In the Aztec calendar, Paticatl is the lord of the 13 days from 1 monkey to 13 house. The Aztec calendar is complicated. We're not going to get into that today. He embodies the healing power of nature and the transformative aspects of fermented beverages. He's known as the Lord of the Root of Pulque. In some narratives, he's depicted as being born from the union of the moon's blood and the flowering maguey plant, bringing the properties of pulque into the world. This makes him the patron of the beverage, and its often intoxicating, sometimes revelatory effects. Paticatl is revered as a god of medicine. He's associated with the discovery and proper use of medicinal herbs and roots. He symbolizes the health and healing power derived from plants. This aspect of the divinity often highlights the Aztec understanding of natural remedies and their connection to the divine. Paticatl is famous for bringing the gift and sometimes challenge of pulque to humanity, being the patriarch of its drunkenness and presiding over the vital practices of its healing and herbal medicines. His stories often emphasize the sacred nature of these elements within the Aztec belief and keeping that balance. So again, like Dionysus with wine. All right. Now, we have mentioned her a little bit, but we're going to just go back and talk about her a little bit more. So, the Pachamama, the revered goddess in the Andean worldview, Incan, particularly for anyone in a direct descendant of the Inca civilization. She's often translated as Mother Earth, or Earth Mother, or World Mother, but her significance extends beyond just the physical planet. Pachamama is seen as the ultimate provider, embodying the earth's generosity and abundance. She presides over planting and harvesting, nurturing crops, and ensuring the fertility of the land and all living things on it. She's believed to provide everything humans need for life, including food, water, and shelter. The Andean peoples have a deep, reciprocal relationship with Pachamama, recognizing their dependence on her and their responsibility to care for her. While generally seen as a benevolent and giving figure, Pachamama can also be formidable. If she feels disrespected or exploited, she's believed to express her anger through natural phenomena like earthquakes, hurricanes, to serve as a reminder to maintain harmony with nature. In Andean mythology, Pachamama is often associated and even embodies the mountains, which are sacred in the region. She's central to the cultural practices and beliefs of the Andean peoples. Offerings, known as pago a la tierra, or payment to the earth, are regularly made to her, especially during planting and harvesting seasons. And on special occasions like August 1st, which is Pachamama Day, these offerings often include coca leaves, food, wine, and other symbolic items, given as a sign of gratitude, respect, reverence, and to ask for her continued blessings. Despite the influence of Catholicism brought by the Spanish colonizers, the worship of Pachamama has persisted and has sometimes gotten intertwined with Catholic beliefs, with her sometimes being associated with the Virgin Mary. In modern times, Pachamama has also become a powerful symbol of ecology, respect for nature, and harmonious coexistence with the natural world. She emphasizes the importance of living in balance and gratitude with the earth. Pachamama is most renowned her story, essential to the ongoing relationship of the reciprocity and the gratitude that the Andean people still have with her today. Pachamama gives generously, and in return, humans must show respect, care for the land, and offer those thanks. So that's why she's still so connected to earth magic and shamanism, especially Incan shamanism. So now we're going to talk a little bit about Mayan shamanism. So while there isn't one single Mayan deity like Pachamama, who really embodies all of those aspects linked to shamanism and plant medicine, there are several figures and concepts that are closely related. So Itzamna, the supreme creator, of course. Itzamna, often considered the most important Maya deity. He's associated with wisdom, knowledge. We've already talked about him. Also, the invention of calendars. Okay, was also evoked as a god of medicine. That's not as known, and has close association with healing practices and knowledge, which would also include herbal remedies. And then, as we also mentioned before, the moon goddess, Ixchel, the goddess of childbirth and healing, strongly associated with medicine, midwifery, and weaving, but she's got a very clear role, too, to plant medicine, especially when it's in the context of like birth or childbirth or anything that has to do with women's cycles. Okay, in general. And then Yankax, god of wild plants and animals. While primarily known as the maize god, he's also the lord of the woods, wild nature, and the hunt. This connection to the natural world, including wild plants, puts him right smack dab in the middle for plant medicines, shamans, healers, all that alike. And then we have Sit Bol and Turn, and Ahu Shamaras. These two gods specifically mentioned as deities of medicine and healing. While less broadly known, their direct association with medicine is significant. So what they called the shamans in Mayan culture, Amen, right? Just like you would say Amen after a prayer, interestingly enough. Or curanderos in modern times. They were the direct practitioners of medicine and healing. They acted as intermediaries between physical and spiritual worlds, using ritual cleansing techniques and profound knowledge of plant remedies and medicines to cure illnesses and such. They believed that sickness was often caused by soul captivity due to a supernatural being. Therefore, their healing mostly involved appeasing deities and restoring balance, which was often achieved through the application of plant medicines and sometimes hallucinogenic substances like morning glory, sometimes fun mushrooms, and even tobacco to induce altered states of consciousness for spiritual journeys and visions. The practice of shamanism and plant medicine in the Mayan culture was a holistic system, deeply interwoven with their understanding of the cosmos, because they had a really intricate understanding of the cosmos, just like the Egyptian people did. The spirit world and the powers of nature. Yeah, they had really, really, really profound knowledge of all like plants, medicinal properties, like I said, astrology, architecture. Again, very, very linked. Again, I feel the energy so closely with the Egyptian deities. It's crazy. Anyways, we're going to get a couple of messages from some of the deities that I mentioned here, just to wrap up for today. Bear with me a moment. All right, since I did mention it earlier when I mentioned him, I'm going to actually read you the card for Quetzalcoatl. So, the feathered serpent unfurls. The keywords for this card are creation, wisdom, knowledge, truth, transformation, renewal, artistry, communication, balance, self-discovery, and humility. This message brings the breath of creation and the light of true understanding. You stand on the precipice of a new dawn, where old skins are shed and higher wisdom is attainable. Embrace the winds of change that sweep through your life, for they carry seeds of knowledge and opportunities for growth. Speak your truth with integrity and cultivate beauty in all that you do. Remember that true power lies not in dominance, but in the harmonious balance of intellect and spirit, air and earth. I am Quetzalcoatl. I am the wind that stirs the clouds, the wisdom that unfurls the scrolls, and the heart that beats in the rhythm with the cosmos. Cast off your old skin and rise, for the breath of a new age awaits you. Speak your truth, craft your world with beauty, and remember that even a feather can carry the weight of the heavens. So that's the message from Quetzalcoatl. And this shows my poor planning. Happy solstice, everyone. I did not think ahead. I was also going to give you a message from Patty Cattle. I'm going to post it on my social media because I have it on the phone that I'm recording on right now. And I didn't think about that. And if I X out of here to go and get it, then it will stop this. And anyways. I apologize for the poor planning, but I will post it on my social media. So as always, I am most active on TikTok and Instagram at @the_Miss Merlin. I will put my link tree below also if you want to find my links for anything else, or if you wanted to book personal services or readings or healing services, anything like that with me. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you again next week. And until then, stay magical, my friends. Bye.